Welcome back, y'all. Trump and the FDA are targeting gender-affirming clothing garment companies. I'll explain this. This is from Rewire News Group. Let me read it. We can talk about it. At least 12 companies received letters from the agency stating that chest binders, a compression garment, are medical devices and require compliance with strict federal regulations. This is bullshit. This is not a medical device. It's an item of clothing. Gender-affirming shapewear is the latest target of the Trump regime's attack on trans communities. In late 2025, the Food and Drug Administration, the FDA, warned companies that make and sell chest binders that their products could be seized and their sales could be halted if they continued to market them as a treatment for gender dysphoria. The FDA classifies certain products as Class 1 medical devices if they are marketed for medical uses. The December 2025 letter, which was sent to at least 10 manufacturers and 2 chest binder retailers, stated that companies must register with the FDA because their devices, in quotes, are intended for use in the diagnosis of disease when marketed to reduce gender dysphoria. FDA registration costs $11,400 plus subsequent annual fees and the expense of developing federally compliant procedures and plans. So basically, the regime is fucking over these companies. Companies were given 15 days to explain how they would correct these, quote, violations. More than a month later, many of the businesses that received the letter are still scrambling to respond and worried that the government will continue to target them if they do. Binders are not just used by trans people. They're used by cisgender men with gynecomastia, a hormone imbalance that causes enlarged breasts. And so cis men also use these. But the FDA seems to primarily be only concerned about their use among trans people, particularly trans kids. So at a press conference in December 2025, the FDA Commissioner Marty Makary said the agency was sanctioning companies for the illegal marketing of breast binders to children for the purposes of treating gender dysphoria. A 2025 study published in the Journal of Adolescent Health found that some trans young adults did experience back pain, chest pain, or shortness of breath with chest binders. However, researchers found no long-term health effects. I'm not sure my business would survive if we stopped selling chest binders, said Shepard in an interview with Rewire News Groups. That's our most popular category, he said. In Shepard's view, binders are only being classified as medical devices because they are marketed to trans people, and he's exactly right. He said push-up bras, which can be gender-affirming garments and also temporarily shift breast tissue into a desired shape, would never be called a medical device. Meanwhile, he said a sports bra carries similar compression-related risks. He said there's tons of shapewear that is being sold with 0 restrictions, including no age restrictions. It's not about the compression, it's about who it's marketed to. For trans teens, finding a garment that allows them to feel more at home in their body can be life-changing. Though Shepard disagreed with the government's assessment of his binders, he has tried to comply with the FDA's demands. Days after receiving the letter, he removed 2 mentions of gender dysphoria on the gender bender's website, even though they were not in reference to binders. For good measure, he also added a legal disclaimer that the company's products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease or physical health condition. Several companies changed the verbiage on their website to remove terms such as gender dysphoria, transgender, etc. Except for Shapeshifters, which is a Vermont chest binder company. They have taken a different tactic and they refuse to remove mentions of gender dysphoria from its website. After receiving the FDA's letter, its owners consulted with a regulatory expert and decided that binders are not medical devices and that the regulatory change is discriminatory. Good, it is. The mere fact that other companies that do not market to trans folks did not receive a warning letter shows this was transphobia driven, said Shapeshifters co-owner Gwen, whose last name RNG is withholding for privacy. Pulling out of the trans-focused language that we have would really be gutting the core of who we are. So again, this attack on chest binders is part of a larger, very demented effort by Republicans to commit a genocide against transgender Americans. And they are starting with children, trans children. We have clear evidence that chest binders cause no serious health risks. I've known many people who use chest binders over time. This is no different than a woman wearing a push-up bra or a man wearing a cup in sports or compression sleeves. You wear them on your legs, arms, whatever. These claims are absolutely ridiculous, unfounded, unscientific, and very typical of Republicans. Their cult values are being forced onto the American public, and we aren't fucking stupid. Their transphobia is rooted in deep insecurities surrounding gender, sexual orientation, and an extreme fear of anything that isn't binary. But binary is unnatural in humanity. We created our ideas of gender. And now that we've learned a lot more as a society, we know that gender is fluid. It is not binary. And this is backed by every major medical association in our country. So why do Republicans continue to attack trans people? Well, because they're delusional, they're cult-minded, and they follow the leader no matter what. In a cult, the only thing that matters is loyalty. So they'll do whatever the leader says, even if it's morally wrong. So luckily for us, only about 25% of Americans are in these right-wing cults. So the rest of America far outnumbers them. Protests are popping up all over the country to support trans rights, and these actions are being covered up by mainstream media. So the youth and young adults of today don't rely on mainstream media. So these tactics won't work on the majority. It's time to address these cult behaviors as a country and say fuck you to this genocide against trans Americans. America sees this. We aren't fucking stupid. And fuck you for trying to harm trans Americans. Thank you all for listening. Please like this, share it, share it, share it. Let's spread this information far and wide. Leave your comments. I'll be back very soon. Ta-ta.